Hey guys, so I just wanted to do a quick video to update you on the last 2 weeks of my training. My first week I actually ended up going away. My wife and I went to the Kruger National Park, and if you've seen the news there was a lot of flooding, so it was pretty rough trying to make space to run, but I did manage to get all of my running in for the week. So my week consisted of strength training as usual, and then I had 4 runs. I started off with a 7k run, I then did a 6k run and an 8k run. My long run for the week ended up being about 11k's, and that was in the rain. So as we saw last week, it's pretty similar this week, with my pace being about a minute faster than what my other runs are while maintaining the same heart rate. And that's actually with about twice as much elevation as what I'm used to. So again, it just goes to show how much temperature and the rain can affect your performance. This week I started off with a 6k run. I then did a 7k run, and during that 7k run I spent a little bit more time doing threshold training. So I did some hill sprints, and my last kilometer was also a full topped out threshold run, and I felt pretty good afterwards. It's been a little while since I did that, and this week was my drop-off week, so I did less strength training as well, so it kind of worked out, and I just wanted to include a little bit of threshold training since it had been a while. I then did about a 3.5k run just to recover from that threshold training, since it's something my tendons and muscles aren't really used to. And then my last run for the week was an 8km easy run, and ultimately I did 25 kilometers this week when compared to, I think it was about 33 the previous week. So it was just a good opportunity to drop off a little bit, add a little bit of threshold training, cut down my strength training, and my legs feel very good. I feel very satisfied with where my body's at. I have no injuries or niggles or anything like that, so I think we're in for another strong week where I'm going to go back up to 33k's for the week roughly, and then we'll push further than that the following week. So I figured I would also just include a little bit of extra information in this video, more specifically about my cadence. When I started running, I, of course, like I'm sure most beginner runners, had no idea about cadence or watching how fast your feet hit the ground. So my cadence wasn't very great. Oftentimes it would actually fall below 150. After a while of getting into running and reading up on it a little bit more, I managed to get my cadence up to about a 150 average, maybe a little higher than 150, which isn't terrible, but it's not optimal. And I found that when I ran faster, my cadence increased, and I was struggling to understand how I could maintain a slower pace but still keep that cadence up, because it felt so awkward, because I'm a pretty tall person naturally. I eventually learned how to do it and realized that I can take smaller steps. At first it did put a little bit of extra strain on my calves because I wasn't getting the same stride length at that pace, but I just started including it sort of in intervals in my normal runs without forcing my body to adapt very quickly, and eventually it became pretty natural for me. And currently my cadence is always above 160. You know, more optimally it would be closer to 170, but I'm sure I will get there. At the moment I tend to average about 162, 164, around there, whereas about 6 months ago I was averaging about 150 to 154. So it's increased by about 10 steps, which is pretty decent over 6 months, and I feel very comfortable with it. So I just thought that that would be a bit of extra information I put out there. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.